Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Alaska is a land full of mysteries. One of the most famous is the Alaska Triangle. This large area links the cities of Anchorage, Juneau, and Utqiagvik. Since the 1970s, many people have disappeared within this strange place. Records show over 20,000 vanishings, which means about 2,250 disappearances every year. That is more than 6 people gone each day. This number is much higher than the disappearances in the well-known Bermuda Triangle. People often ask what causes these strange events. Could it be unexplained magnetic forces? Or perhaps something from outside our world? Others think it is just the very wild nature of Alaska. Its unpredictable weather, huge mountains, and how far away it is from other places. Alaska gets its name from the Aleut word Alyeska. This word means the Great Land, and it is a very fitting name. Alaska is truly huge. It is the biggest state in the United States. It covers about 665,000 square miles. This size is equal to 1/5 of all the other states in the USA combined. To understand how big this is, imagine placing Alaska on a map of the lower 48 states. It would stretch from the state of Georgia all the way to California. Also, Alaska has more than half of all the coastline in the entire United States, about 6,600 miles. Because it is so big, much of Alaska remains unknown to people. It is like the world's oceans, with many parts still undiscovered. Alaska has over 365 million acres of land, but people have only settled on a very small part of it, about 160,000 acres. This is less than 1/20th of 1% of the entire state. This means almost all of Alaska is still wild and unexplored. It is truly the last great wilderness in the United States. The state is so enormous that even if you looked at 1 million acres every single day, it would still take you a full year to see the whole thing. 2. A very big place. Alaska is a very wild place. It has many tall mountains. In fact, Alaska has 17 of the 20 highest mountains in the whole United States. North America's tallest mountain is here too. It is Mount McKinley, also called Denali. This mountain stands very high, more than 20,200 feet. 3 big mountain ranges are in Alaska: the Brooks Range, the Alaska Range, and the Aleutian Range. The Aleutian Range reaches far out into the Pacific Ocean. Between these large mountains, you can find thick forests. There are also wide, cold areas called tundras. In tundras, trees do not grow tall because the weather is too cold and the warm season is very short. Alaska also has a lot of ice. Many glaciers cover the land. About 5% of Alaska is under ice, which is 29,000 square miles. There are around 100,000 glaciers in Alaska. This is more than half of all the glaciers in the entire world. The state also has a huge amount of water. 40% of all the water resources in the United States are in Alaska. There are many lakes. Alaska has 3 million natural lakes, and about 3,200 of these have names. It also has 12,000 rivers. These rivers flow for a total of 365,000 miles through the land. Less than 1% of these rivers are special wild and scenic rivers. Because Alaska is so big and wild, it has very large protected areas. The state park system in Alaska is the biggest in the United States. It covers 3.2 million acres. One national park, Wrangell State Elias National Park and Preserve, is the largest national park in the country. It is huge, covering 13.2 million acres. This park is 6 times bigger than Yellowstone National Park. The biggest state park in the United States, Wood-Tikchik State Park, is also in Alaska. It has 1.6 million acres of nature. This is more than 8 times the size of New York City. All these vast lands show how untouched and wild Alaska truly is. 3. Cold weather and wild animals. Alaska is well known for its very cold weather. In winter, temperatures can fall to an extreme 60 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit, or even colder in some areas. The cold is not just a winter thing. It influences the Alaskan environment all year round. Even when the sun shines in summer, the effects of the cold remain, shaping the land and its life. A big challenge for people and nature is permafrost, which is ground that stays frozen all the time. About 85% of Alaska is covered by this permanently frozen ground. The very top layer of permafrost can melt and then freeze again with the changing seasons. This cycle can create difficulties as the ground becomes unstable. In some northern towns, like Barrow, there are months without any sunlight during winter. This time is called polar night, and it makes the cold even more intense, requiring deep preparation from residents. But the cold weather also offers unique advantages. One important benefit is natural food storage. With temperatures often below freezing, food can be kept fresh for a very long time, almost indefinitely. This natural refrigeration has helped Alaskans for generations. It means they do not need modern freezers as much, making life simpler in many ways compared to warmer places where food spoils quickly. This method of food preservation is a key part of how people thrive in this rugged land, ensuring sustenance through long, cold periods. Alaska's wild places are home to many animals that do very well in the cold, a stark contrast to the small human population. The state's waters are especially rich. A large amount of the salmon, crab, and halibut that people eat in the United States comes from Alaska. These fish find good homes in the cold rivers and oceans, supporting a huge fishing industry. On land, big animals like moose, elk, and grizzly bears live in great numbers. There are over 32,000 grizzly bears in Alaska alone, which is a significant population. For every 21 people in Alaska, there is about one grizzly bear. This shows how abundant and important wildlife is to the state and its environment, providing food and maintaining the natural balance even in extreme conditions. 4. A lonely place. Alaska is a very large state, but it has very few people. It feels empty. Though it is the biggest state in the USA, it has one of the smallest populations. Only about 730,000 people live there. This is much less than the population of Rhode Island, the smallest U.S. state. Alaska has the lowest population density in the nation. This means there is only about one person for every square mile of land. In other parts of the country, there are usually about 98 people per square mile. Even Wyoming, which is known for being empty, has 6 times more people per square mile than Alaska. So Alaska is one of the loneliest places for people to live. Most people in Alaska live in cities. About 80% of Alaskans live in urban areas. Most of these live in just 3 main cities: Anchorage, Fairbanks, and Juneau. Juneau is the capital of Alaska. These cities are not very big compared to large American cities. For example, many cities in California are larger than Juneau. Only 3 places in Alaska have more than 10,000 people. Almost 40% of Alaskans live in Anchorage. Around 9% live in Juneau and Fairbanks. This means about half of all Alaskans live in these 3 cities. Alaska is also very remote. Many towns and cities can only be reached by boat or plane. Juneau, the state capital, is special. You cannot drive to it. It is the only state capital in the USA without road access. There are not many roads in Alaska. The state has about 17,000 miles of roads. Many other states have far more. Texas, for example, has over 650,000 miles of roads. California has almost 400,000 miles. Only a tiny part of all U.S. roads is in Alaska. This makes Alaska one of the hardest places to get to. Because of few roads and its location, people in Alaska must use airplanes, seaplanes, and boats a lot. They use them for travel and to bring in goods. Bad weather often makes this work difficult. During summer, much food and other goods are brought in. This helps people live through the winter when travel is harder. Anchorage has Lake Hood, the world's largest seaplane base. Many planes use it daily in summer. 5. The first people in Alaska. Humans first came to Alaska many thousands of years ago. This makes Alaska one of the first places in the Americas where people lived. Experts think these early people came from a land called Eurasia. They might have crossed a large ice bridge known as the Bering Land Bridge. This bridge connected modern-day Russia and Alaska a long time ago, during a very cold period. This idea suggests people walked across the ice and then moved into the land. But new ideas are also emerging. Some experts now think people might have traveled along the Pacific coastline. They could have used simple boats, moving from island to island. Along this route, there were many kelp forests in the water. These forests offered food and other things they needed. This coastal path might have been an easier way for them to move into the Americas, all the way down to South America. Evidence of ancient fish traps found in Alaska shows that people made permanent homes there as far back as 10,000 years ago. When the Earth became warmer after the last ice age, much ice melted. This brought a lot of new life to the land and coasts. There were many plants and animals, offering a rich source of food for these early people. Alaska was a very good place for hunting and gathering. They caught fish like salmon and hunted animals such as seals and moose. They also knew how to find many plants that were good to eat. The cold climate helped them keep food fresh for a very long time, like a natural refrigerator. This made living in Alaska easier because food did not spoil quickly. Alaska's long summer days also brought a special benefit. Because of its location, summer days can have up to 20 hours of sunlight. In some northern towns, the sun stays in the sky for 3 months. This long sunlight helps plants grow very large. Common vegetables like cabbage, cantaloupe, and broccoli can become huge. They also often taste sweeter than vegetables grown in other places. So, for the first people in Alaska, the land offered not just many resources, but also large and nutritious food to help them survive. 6. Hard to build roads. Building roads in Alaska is an extremely difficult task. The biggest challenge comes from something called permafrost, which is ground that stays frozen all year long. A huge part of Alaska, about 80%, is covered by this permafrost. The problem is that the top layer of this frozen ground thaws and then refreezes with the changing seasons. This constant cycle of freezing and thawing causes the ground to move a lot. Because of this, roads and buildings that are built on top of it can shift, sink, and crack over time. It is a continuous battle against nature, where the land itself is always changing and refusing to stay still. Another major reason why there are so few roads in Alaska is the very high cost. It is expensive to bring building materials such as concrete, wood, and steel all the way to Alaska's remote locations. Shipping costs are much higher than in other parts of the country. Also, people who work on these projects need to be paid well, as the cost of living in Alaska is among the highest in the United States. These combined expenses make any construction project, especially building new roads, incredibly costly. The Alaska Highway shows just how hard road building is. The United States Army Corps of Engineers built this road in 1942 during the Second World War. It was a massive and costly project. 11,000 soldiers and engineers with 16,000 civilians worked on it, using 7,000 machines. It cost $185 million in 1942, which equals more than $3.5 billion today. This made it the most expensive building project of the entire war. The highway connected a part of Canada to Delta Junction in Alaska. Even today, 80 years later, the road faces constant problems and needs a lot of repairs because of the harsh climate and limited funds. Alaska has also been important for the United States for military reasons. Russia sold Alaska to the United States in 1867. The United States wanted it for defense. Since then, America has had military bases and a strong presence there. Today, Alaska is a key part of America's system to defend against missiles. In 1935, a general named Billy Mitchell said Alaska was the most strategic place on Earth. This is because Alaska is closer to the center of the Northern Hemisphere and many other countries than most parts of the lower 48 states. Its vast, empty areas also give it an advantage for defense. 7. A dangerous search for gold. The late 1800s saw the Klondike Gold Rush in Alaska. In 1896, thousands of Klondikers rushed north hoping to find gold. About 100,000 people tried to reach the Klondike region, but only around 30,000 made it. Most were unprepared for Alaska's harsh environment and its many dangers. One famous gold seeker was Jack London, 21 years old and an aspiring writer. He arrived in July 1897, poor and hungry, hoping to find gold. Instead of riches, he found tough experiences that later helped him write famous books. London first arrived in Juneau, then went to Skagway. There he saw the harsh reality of the wild frontier. He witnessed terrible conditions on the White Pass Trail, also called Dead Horse Trail. This path became very bad due to too many people and animals and a general lack of care. The Chilkoot Trail was another dangerous path, known for avalanches. Many gold seekers ignored warnings. Jack London once found a man buried alive by an avalanche. On April 3, 1898, a large avalanche killed 65 people on this trail. Local people warned of spring dangers, but the gold seekers did not listen. After a year, Jack London was very sick with scurvy. His body was almost crippled. He left Alaska with only a few dollars in gold, but gained something more valuable: strong memories and life lessons. These experiences helped him become a great American writer. Alaska always demands great respect. It asks a high price from those who try to live there. People must be ready for its dangers. Being careless in Alaska can be deadly. Survival always comes first, and dreams of gold must wait. 8. Living in the wild. Alaska faces constant, unpredictable dangers. Earthquakes are frequent, as the state sits on 3 fault lines. From 2013 to 2018, there were about 150 quakes, some very powerful. These can cause landslides and make the ground move like liquid, threatening buildings. Flooding is another risk. Spring melting causes rivers to overflow. Glaciers can burst, releasing huge amounts of water and creating sudden, big floods in valleys, like those seen on the Mendenhall River near Juneau. Landslides also occur in summer. A major disaster was the Great Alaska Earthquake of 1964. On March 27th, a magnitude 9.2 quake, the second largest ever recorded, struck Prince William Sound for 4.5 minutes. This triggered devastating tsunamis. Waves reached over 170 feet high, destroying coastal towns like Chenega and killing many people. Living in Alaska requires strong self-reliance. Help is often far away. Roads and communication can fail. Alaskans must depend on themselves. This land of paradoxes, both harsh and beautiful, draws adventurous spirits. It challenges people to find their strength and test their limits in its vast, wild spaces. What do you think makes people want to live in such a wild and dangerous place?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.